So if you guys have been keeping tabs on my channel, you know that I went on vacation. I went to Florida, then got on a cruise, went to the Dominican Republic, Grand Turk, stuff like that. And a lot of you guys were asking me what types of fragrances that I brought with me. So today I'm going to go over the 10 fragrances that I took with me. So 10 fragrances that are great to take with you on any warm weather vacation, whether it's to a beach, on a cruise, whatever it might be. And then at the end, I'm going to tell you guys the 5 main types of fragrances that you want to take with you on almost any vacation that you go on. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So without further ado, let's get it. What's good, my great smelling dudes? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Randy, aka Fragrance Dude. Again, we're going to be talking about some fragrances that have to do with my vacation. So I'm finally back in the groove of things. I'm back to recording some videos. It's getting back to normal, and I was going to record a bunch of videos on vacation, but while I was there, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do a few shorts, and that's about it. I'll talk about my vacation when I get home, because I was on vacation. And I took a bunch of fragrances with me thinking I was going to do that. So these are going to be 10 fragrances that I took with me on vacation, because that's exactly what I took. I took 10. And most of them are going to be warm weather situated, even though I did take one that is good for the night out. But any of these are going to be good for beach vacations, going to a cruise, stuff like that. But before we get into them, if you could do the same thing as you always do. If you aren't already and you like my content, make sure to subscribe. Comment below, let me know some of your favorite vacation scents. And also hit the like button, put me on the algorithm so that we can get straight into this. Starting with this one. So when I went to Florida, so we traveled from Pittsburgh, went to Chicago on a layover, and then we went to Florida, and Florida was actually like 58 degrees, and that was 10 degrees colder than where I left, so I was like, wow, this sucks. But we were still in Florida, palm trees, not pine trees, we weren't going north. And it was still a pretty cool time, even though it was like super rainy. And there was one fragrance that I decided to wear while I was there, because I like to wear it during the spring, during rainy days, stuff like that. And this is one of my favorites. As you can tell, it came out 2 years ago, and my bottle's almost gone. This is Lacoste Blanc Eau Fraiche. Well, this isn't the first thing that you think about when you go on a beach vacation. Again, I knew I was going to be in Florida for at least 7 days of that. And this is one of my favorite fresh fragrances. It is almost like a pickled ginger citrus medley with this fizzy, almost ambroxan-ish woodiness as you get to the dry down. It has a green edge to the whole fragrance, but the ginger really pops in this. I always say it's like walking through the woods on a windy day during the spring, smelling a basket of citrus, and then you have a little bit of pickled ginger there, and it's really freaking good. I mean, it's watery, but at the same time, it's cool and green and fresh and just effervescent and invigorating. It is a fantastic fragrance. It lasts about 5 to 6 hours, so nothing crazy. But with a fresh fragrance that's like this, a little bit lighter, yeah, that's what you pretty much expect. But Lacoste Blanc Eau Fraiche, I wore this the most out of any of these, except for my one night out fragrance that I brought with me, which I wore almost every night. But yeah, Lacoste Blanc Eau Fraiche, really, really good. The next one is the only decant from this list, because I just got this decant in before I left for vacation, and I knew I wanted to take it with me. I wore it three times, and it's nice. It's just, it wasn't all that I thought it was when I first tried it on, so it's still a good fragrance. I still would rate it around an 8. It's just, it's right on par with the original as far as my favorite in the line. This is Le Beau Paradise Garden. Le Beau Paradise Garden. So there is one thing about Paradise Garden that whenever I first got it in, I was like, wow, this is the best one in the line, because if you guys have been following along, you know I love the original Le Beau. It's kind of like that almost sunscreeny coconut, sweet and fresh fragrance that's really nice to wear on any kind of beach day, stuff like that, going to the pool. Doesn't last that long, but then you came out with the Parfum. There's something in the Parfum that I really don't love. The opening is amazing, but then this one came out. It is kind of like a mix between the original Le Beau and like a green and slightly fresher version of it. That's what this is. It has a little bit of spice in there, but just kind of, I thought it was going to be more green because it was called Paradise Garden, but there is some green tones. It's just, when I first wore it, I was like, this is the best one in the line. I'm giving it a 9. But after I wore it 3 times, 4 times, I was just like, okay, so it's good. But it wasn't like super hype. It wasn't like what everybody out there is saying is how fantastic it is. It's still going to be a slightly, I mean, and I know the word synthetic can be used in almost any fragrance out there. Synthetic tones, ambers or synthetic, stuff like that. With this fragrance, there is a part of the fragrance at about 30 minutes that comes off very synthetic to me. That kind of brought that score down a bit. Don't get me wrong, still really like it. It's still really good. I'm not sure if it's great for the beach, like the original Le Beau. Like I would have rather brought the original Le Beau, but it's definitely going to be a good spring version of the line because of those green tones. It's a little bit less sweet than the original Le Beau, but at the same time, some people actually are saying it's more sweet. It's up to you. You guys got to test it out. It still has that Le Beau DNA, so if you don't like coconut, stuff like that, you're not going to like it, but I think it's good. It's a good addition to the line. I'm going to buy a full bottle of it, but it's not as great as I thought it was. So, but that is one. If I was to replace this with one on this list, it would be the original Le Beau. Just an FYI. Going to the next one. This one I got in about a month before I went on vacation. I was so excited to get it, and it is probably my favorite Creed right now. This is Creed's Virgin Island Water. So I change my name. I change my favorites up all the time. I change, like, it's kind of based on the season, based on my feelings and mood at that point in time. But I mean, it's hard to beat this one. People always complain about the performance. I get about 5 hours from this fragrance. So I mean, you have to spray it a bunch, but this legit smells like a sparkling mojito. It is everything that you want in a tropical fragrance, everything you want in a citrus fragrance, everything you want in a beach fragrance. Again, I'm going to use the words in terms invigorating because it has this citrus, but it also has this tropical blast to it. And it's like almost like Tommy Bahama's Set Sail St. Barts if you made it super high quality and a lot, almost like a little bit fresher. Oh my goodness, this stuff is amazing. This stuff is one of my favorite fragrances in my collection. I'm going to be wearing through this all spring, all summer. I mean, it's more of a summer fragrance for sure, but Virgin Island Water is exactly that. It's island in a bottle. If you're thinking about an island, what do you think of? You think of coconut, you think of pina coladas, you think of citruses, like citrus trees, stuff like that. Being on a sandy beach, warm toes, windy breeze, everything that you think of, this bottle, it legit just kind of spells it out as you spray it. It's really that good. But anyway, the next one I brought because it is one of my favorite layering fragrances with Set Sail St. Barts. So Set Sail St. Barts. Yeah, Set Sail St. Barts. It's one of my favorite layering fragrances with that, so I figured I would try to layer it with the Virgin Island Water, and also it's one of my wife's favorite fragrances in general. It's Dolce & Gabbana's Light Blue Eau Intense. It activates in the heat. It's aromatic, marine, very, very good. You guys know it's the light blue DNA. It's a little bit hyped up more than the original because the original comes off a bit watery to me, but this is summer in a bottle. And when you go down to the Caribbean islands, Bahamas, stuff like that, you know you need something that is for the warm weather, something that's going to eat through the heat, something that's going to be fresh but also clean, mass appealing. That's this. Everything that you want, you get from this in a bottle. It is one of my favorite blue fragrances for the summer. I could have brought Sedley. Those two kind of go hand in hand with me. Not as far as smelling the same, but yeah, it's really one of my favorite blue summer fragrances. Going into the next one. This one is just kind of, you have to bring it with you. If you own it, you have to bring it with you. It is Chanel's Allure Homme Sport Eau Extreme, or Cashy for short. It's the Allure Homme DNA. That citrus aromatic, minus the citrus, add in a lot of vanilla. This adds in this nice creamy vanilla. You guys know, I'm not going to talk too much about fragrances that everybody in the fragrance community knows. It is the most versatile fragrance out there. It says sport, but it's not really a sport fragrance. It's in any season, anytime fragrance. It is for pretty much any age over 20. I wouldn't really wear it if you're younger than that, because all Chanels are really a little bit for the slightly older crowd. But Allure Homme Sport Eau Extreme, again, aromatic, slight citrus, but then you add in that crazy amount of vanilla, a little bit of mint. It's a fantastic blend. If you haven't tried it, definitely do that. And I wore that. That's one of my scent of the days that I posted 2 or 3 times while I was on vacation. You have to take that with you if you have it. It's either that or the Allure Homme Edition Blanche. One of those two you have to take. Anyway, getting back to another beachy fragrance. This came out last year, and it was a limited edition. It is Zaharoff Coco Loco. So this kind of goes against the Virgin Island water. So the Virgin Island water is more on the fresh, the citrus, the light effervescent. This is almost kind of like on your candied coconut. This is more sweet. This is going to be still super, super tropical. I mean, look at the bottle. One of the coolest bottles ever. I mean, Zaharovs are always known for their placards, and this is super, super good. But yeah, it is coconut. It's tropical. It has a little bit of a floral tone to it, like a tropical floral. It has just pretty much, I think there's mandarin orange, and I can't remember the notes. It's just, this is a tropical candy in a bottle. That is exactly what it is. It almost smells like a fruit punch with a bunch of coconut. But yeah, there's vanilla in this. There's like a slight ambery tone, but it's like almost like a richer Virgin Island water if you made it more like a candied citrus with coconut. When you think of any type of beachy fragrance, most of the time it does have some kind of sunscreeny or coconutty vibe. And that's what this one did. It's really, really good. I also could have added into this list, but I didn't bring it with me. Prisma, and it's either Emerald or whatever. It's the original batch of City Rhythm Miami, but it's now under the name Prisma Parfums. And I could have brought that with me, but I forgot. It's kind of like a key lime pie in a bottle. Or I could have brought one I just tried. It's called The Forward, and I can't think of why. Mind Games The Forward. It kind of smells like that, like City Rhythm Miami, but just way higher quality. And instead of using lime, they use pomelo and bergamot, or pomelo and lemon. It smells like a pomelo cream pie. It's so freaking good. But anyway, getting back to a Creed and number 7 on the list. This is Creed's Millesime Imperial. I almost said Millesime Imperial. I used to say that all the time. I don't know why. Millesime Imperial. This is kind of for the classy nights or classy days, classy nights, whatever, on a cruise ship. I wore this a couple times to our, like, we had extravagant meals where you would get together and with your family, and you would sit down and you would have like suit and tie service. I wore a Millesime Imperial a couple times for that. It has this kind of salted melon accord, but it's also super musky. It is everything that you want in a summertime fragrance, but it also is one of the most unique fragrances out there. If you haven't smelled this or the Milestone, you've never smelled anything like it. So I can't really tell you what it smells like other than it's like a musky salted melon. And it's very different, and I love it. I freaking love it. When I first tried it, I didn't like it, but now it's like one of my favorite fragrances. Millesime Imperial, you have to get it, and that's all I'll say about that. Again, I'm not spending all day on these because I'm just going through 10. The next one is by an indie house called Imaginary Authors. This is what I brought. It's called Falling into the Sea. So this is going to be another one that falls in line with the tropical fragrances I was telling you about, except for this one leans more on citruses and tropical florals, and the tropical florals are very heavy. It's not something that you've smelled before as far as tropical, so if you want a unique tropical fragrance, this is definitely it, because it uses things like tropical flowers, like real tropical flowers, as well as lychee. And if you've ever smelled lychee, that is a different type of fruitiness. There's lemon, bergamot, grapefruit, lychee, tropical flowers, and the imaginary note, which they always have, is warm sand. It legit smells like you're walking past a bunch, like in a field of florals. After about 20 minutes, it's what it smells like, a field of tropical flowers. So it's not what you would expect to smell from a tropical fragrance. The opening does have the citruses and the lychee, but again, just like Mil Imperial, if you've not smelled lychee, or you've not smelled a fragrance that has tropical flowers in it, I can't really explain what else it smells like other than it's tropical, but it's floral at the same time, but it's not a type of floral that you're used to. The lychee is fruity, but it's not the type of fruity that you're used to, and it's just a very unique blend. It smells like what you would expect to be if you were on like a private island that had a bunch of citrus trees and a field of flowers. That's exactly what it smells like. And I know that sounds weird, but once you smell it, you'll know what the hell I'm talking about. Going into the last two. This one is a hidden gem for me. I'll tell you guys that 1,000 times. By Tom Ford, it is Soleil Neige. Soleil Neige, there's the bottle underneath there. I don't like any of the other Soleils. Soleil Faux and Soleil Blanc and Eau de Soleil Blanc. I don't like any of those ones, but Soleil Neige, I smelled it. And while the opening, like 5 minutes, is unisex, leaning slightly feminine because there is a floral tone to it, which is the jasmine mixture, this fragrance is more like if you wanted to get a very, very, very high quality sunscreen and turn it into a fragrance. That's what this one is. It is a nice woody vanillic tonka mixture that comes together with this jasmine to make almost like a high quality sunscreen. The dry down of this is legit ridiculously good. I sent it to my moderators and I put like as a mystery so they didn't judge it before they smelled it, and they were like, holy crap, what is that? I remember Mo was just like, that is great, what is it? And it's Soleil Neige. So, and it's actually not that expensive for a Tom Ford. But yeah, just think about it. The high quality sunscreen in a bottle. It's really that good. And I know sometimes that sounds bad, but if you like the smell of the sunscreen, the jasmine, vanilla, sandalwood mixture in there really does it justice. It's really freaking good. And then finally, we got to go with the fragrance that I wore every single night. This is my night out fragrance, and it was because if you've ever been on a cruise ship, you know those winds, it gets chilly. Even if it's like 70 degrees at night, it feels like it's 60. This is the perfect fragrance for that. It is Azzaro's The Most Wanted. And believe me, it works. This is a fresh gourmand, so it's amberwood, toffee, cardamom. It has a warm, spicy tone to it. A little bit of this vanilla underneath it. This fragrance is pretty much, it's one of my favorite fragrances. You guys already know that if you've been following my channel. Azzaro's The Most Wanted is great for nights out. It is great to take with you on any trip because it works in almost any weather. I wouldn't wear it during the daytime during the summer, but it's a great night out fragrance no matter what temperature you're looking at. Unless it's like a 100-degree night for some reason, but yeah. And of all of those fragrances, the ones that I think that you need to bring with you 100%, you need to have one tropical fragrance, and for me, it would be Virgin Island water. You need to have one night out fragrance. For me, it's this. You need to have one blue fragrance, and I think that you need to bring either this or Sedley. You need to have one anytime fragrance, and for me, that is Allure Homme Sport. And then, not on this list, but one that I think that you should bring with you on any trip is going to be a blue fragrance like a night out one, like maybe Bleu de Chanel Parfum or something like that, or YSL Y Le Parfum. I think that those would be great to bring with you. Or we could just go with another tropical one, or which would probably be, for me, Coco Loco. So, yeah, let me know some of your favorite fragrances to bring with you on vacation. And again, I'll be back with another one. I hope you guys enjoyed this list. Peace out.